Let the old pharmacist stay out of this, they muttered in the emergency team as David tried to conduct chemical analysis. Seeing people getting poisoned upset him, but nobody knew he was a chemical warfare specialist. From which city in the world are you watching this story today? If stories like this move you, consider subscribing to Unseen Legends for more tales of quiet heroes walking among us. Thursday afternoon, 3:45 p.m., a normal business day was continuing at Maple Street Pharmacy in Portland, Oregon. David Chen, 65 years old, was chatting with customers while preparing prescriptions. In his white pharmacist coat, gentle smile, and patient manner, he looked like a typical neighborhood pharmacist. He had been running this pharmacy for 8 years, and to most customers, he was a trusted figure. Nobody knew David's past. To them, he was just Dr. Chen, carefully preparing medications, giving health advice, chatting with elderly customers, giving candy to children. No one knew that between 1980 and 2010, he had been one of the most experienced chemical warfare specialists in the U.S. Army Chemical Corps. This afternoon, a panicked woman entered the pharmacy. Mrs. Patterson, a teacher from the nearby school. Dr. Chen, children at school are getting sick. They all have vomiting, headaches, and breathing difficulties. What caught David's attention was the combination of symptoms: vomiting, headaches, respiratory distress. This pattern was familiar. How many children are affected? About 30 to 35 students. It all started at the same time. Which classes? Mostly 3rd and 4th grades. Classes near the science lab. Alarm bells rang in David's mind. Mass poisoning, specific location, respiratory symptoms. This wasn't food poisoning. Mrs. Patterson, did you call 911? Yes, ambulances are on the way. But Dr. Chen, what do you think could have happened? David hesitated. His 30 years of experience told him this was chemical exposure. But how could he explain? Probably mass poisoning. They should be taken to the hospital immediately. At that moment, a young man entered the pharmacy. Jake Williams, a worker from the nearby factory. His face was pale. He was sweating. Dr. Chen, I feel terrible. Headache, nausea, burning in my eyes. When David heard the symptoms, he took action. Jake, what's happening at the factory? I don't know. Around 2:30 am, a strange smell started coming. Like chemicals, a bitter smell. David's blood ran cold. The factory was near the school. Wind direction could carry the smell to the school. Jake, how many people are at the factory right now? About 200 people, but a lot of people went home. They were feeling bad. David understood the scope of the emergency. This wasn't an industrial accident. It was mass chemical exposure. He pulled out his old chemical detection kit from his pocket. He had been carrying it in the pharmacy for 8 years. Old habit. Dr. Chen, what is this? Mrs. Patterson asked. Chemical test kit. It detects toxins in the air. He opened the kit and used test strips. The readings were at alarming levels. Mrs. Patterson, evacuate the school immediately. Jake, go back to the factory and get everyone out of the buildings. But Dr. Chen, how do you? This is a chemical emergency. Both obeyed the authority in David's voice and ran. David called 911. 911, I'm reporting a chemical emergency. Mass chemical exposure in Portland. Sir, what's your qualification to assess this? David hesitated. It was time to reveal the identity he'd hidden for 8 years. Former Army Chemical Corps officer, 30 years experience. I'm Dr. David Chen, chemical warfare specialist. Hold on, sir. Transferring to hazmat emergency. The hazmat coordinator came on the line. Dr. Chen, explain the situation. Mass chemical exposure, Portland Southeast. Airborne toxin, probably industrial leak. School children and factory workers affected. Symptoms: nausea, headache, respiratory distress, eye irritation. Chemical identification. David looked at the test kit results. Preliminary tests indicate organophosphate compound, possibly pesticide or nerve agent related. Jesus, how many affected? Currently 60-80 people. Numbers rising. Need immediate decontamination and mass casualty response. Sir, stay on the line. Teams en route. David turned his pharmacy into an emergency command post. Affected people began arriving. The first patient was a young mother, Sarah Martinez. She came with her 4-year-old daughter Emma. Dr. Chen, my daughter is very sick. She was at school. Now she can't breathe. David examined little Emma. Respiratory distress, pupil constriction, excessive salivation. Classic organophosphate poisoning. Sarah, you need to go to the hospital, but first decontamination. What's decon? Chemical cleaning. She needs to remove her clothes and shower. David set up an emergency shower in the back of his pharmacy. Thanks to his 30 years of training, he knew how to do it. Dr. Chen, how do you know these things? Sarah asked. I learned in the army. Chemical warfare training. Were you a soldier? Chemical Corps officer. 30 years. At that moment, more patients arrived. David began organizing. Everyone listen, this is chemical contamination. Decontamination mandatory before hospital. Remove clothing. Take shower. Put on clean clothes. 10-15 people followed David's instructions. Thanks to his professional approach, panic was kept under control. The hazmat team arrived. Team leader, Captain Morrison, recognized David. Dr. David Chen. Sir, long time no see. Morrison. Still hazmat? Yes sir, 20 years now. Sir, situation assessment. David switched to professional mode. Organophosphate exposure. Airborne dispersion. Source likely industrial facility, 500 meters northeast. Wind pattern carrying toxin to elementary school. Currently 80+ casualties. Antidote requirements. Atropine and pralidoxime. Mass doses. Hospital inventory insufficient for this scale. Sir, would you coordinate medical response? Your expertise invaluable. David thought. He had been living civilian life for 8 years, but people were dying. Affirmative. Setting up triage here. David turned his pharmacy into a makeshift medical station. He prepared chemical antidotes, implemented triage protocols, severe cases, red tag, moderate cases, yellow tag, mild cases, green tag. He commanded. A doctor, Dr. Jennifer Park, came to the pharmacy. Dr. Chen, I came from the hospital. I can help you. Dr. Park, welcome. We have mass organophosphate poisoning. We'll apply atropine and pralidoxime protocols. How do you know chemical protocols? Army Chemical Corps background, 30 years experience. Dr. Park was surprised but continued professionally. For hours, David coordinated. He processed patients, administered antidotes, organized hospital transfers. At 7 p.m., FBI agent Thomas Miller came. Dr. Chen, this wasn't an accident. Deliberate chemical attack. Domestic terrorism. David wasn't surprised. Source identified. Disgruntled factory employee. Released pesticide concentrate into ventilation system. Casualty count, 127 affected. Thanks to your rapid response. 0 fatalities. Good. Sir, your actions saved lives. How did you respond so quickly? David looked at his pharmacy, then at the recovery operations on the streets. Because chemical warfare training never leaves you. But more importantly, this is my community. These people trust me with their health every day. Sir, would you consider consulting for DHS? Chemical terrorism response? I could consider part-time, but I won't leave the pharmacy. Why not? Because I serve these people every day. In the army I served soldiers, now I serve neighbors. The next day when the pharmacy opened, everything was different. Customers looked at David differently. Mrs. Rodriguez approached. Dr. Chen, yesterday you saved my grandson. I heard you were a military expert. Former military, Mrs. Rodriguez. Now I'm just a pharmacist. No, Dr. Chen, you're a hero. Young customer Mike asked. Dr. Chen, were you really a chemical warfare expert? Chemical Corps officer Mike, I taught soldiers chemical protection. Why did you choose pharmacy? Because both in the military and here I do the same thing. Keep people healthy. I protected soldiers from chemical weapons. Now I protect customers from diseases. Offers from the federal government began arriving. DHS, CDC, FBI, all wanted David's expertise. David found the perfect solution. 3 days a week pharmacy, 2 days government consulting. This way I can both serve my community and contribute to national security. Portland's most unusual pharmacist. The man who prevents chemical attacks while preparing prescriptions. The truth was, David loved both. Sometimes the most extraordinary people hide in the most ordinary places. People like David run pharmacies in neighborhoods, but their skills still protect. Training never disappears. The spirit of service never ends. The next time you see your neighborhood pharmacist, remember, they might be protecting you in unimaginable ways. Have you ever encountered someone who appeared ordinary but had an extraordinary background? Share in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories about quiet protectors like David Chen, subscribe to Unseen Legends. Because sometimes the best protection is found waiting in the neighborhood pharmacy. This story is fiction, created to honor the spirit of service. Any resemblance to actual persons or events is purely coincidental.